Oi, 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 it's Lads Product Reviews.
You know the lads, the ones out there making their own ham.
No, lads, she's on to us again about the ham. Maybe we could get a sailing boat and sell the ham to Spain. They love ham there in Spain. Yeah. Alright, trying more different weird interests. We're finally getting around to it today. We are going to go ahead and review the CRKT Squid XM. I don't know how many of you might have seen it, but one of the first videos we posted on this channel was a short of me opening and closing the squid a couple of different ways in front of my collection of pocket knives, and that video exploded to 5.3 thousand views, 5,300. And I haven't even gotten close to touching that again since we did it. So this knife really blew up my channel for me, and it's time to review it. I think we could see if we could get the long form video up pretty high. I'm gonna have a short form video also to kind of try to hype up the review since we're finally getting around to it. That being said, let's go ahead real quick and get into some specs with this knife. It is a button lock sheep's foot on IKBS ball bearings. The ball bearings make it really, really smooth. We just have the thumb stud deployment method. It is on green micarta scales. The scales kind of feel smooth. Some micarta feels rough, and some micarta feels smooth. This one's a smoother micarta, which I don't know. You might have seen the review for the Kaiser Seagull, but that's kind of a rough micarta. This one's a much smoother micarta. We got a non-reversible pocket clip. Kind of a weird pocket clip. It's only got those two screws there, and they're off to the side holding it in. Since we're talking about the screws real quick, I believe we're going to be dealing with a T8 pivot and probably T6 everything else, but let's go ahead and confirm that. And the T8 pivot. Yep, and T6 for the liner screws, and T6 for the pocket clip. It looked to me like this knife released February 1st or February 5th this year, so it's been out for a minute. I got it back at the beginning of August, I believe it was, at the National Knife Day event for the Portland knife making community that they had in downtown Portland. Real quick, we're going to do pretty close to dead on center there. I was looking at it through my eyes and not my camera. No blade play. We got some really aggressive large jimping up here. I actually like it and like that it's different. That's probably going to be a little subjective for people on how they feel about that large jimping because it is a bit abnormal. The blade is stone polished D2. And it's a sheep's foot design. Real quickly, we got Burnley design because the knife was designed by Lucas Burnley. These numbers and letters right here are actually a model number for the knife. If you go and Google that knife, you'll bring up a lot of different websites selling the CRKT Squid XM, primarily in the green micarta with the D2 stone polished knife blade. And then over here we just got CRKT. So kind of a minimal amount of product placement on the blade. The button lock itself has kind of got this knurling on it, which is interesting because most button locks that I have encountered are smooth, like the Civivi Elementum button lock 2. I'm going to put that off to the side for a second. That's going to be our size comparison real quick. They call it XM because they consider it extra medium. It is a little bit of a bigger handle, so you are definitely, if at first, you're probably going to fill this in your pocket. The blade's a decent size, though. The handle's definitely a good grip. There's a couple places out here that you can put your pinky, but it's definitely 4-finger handle with a rest your thumb on the knurling right there on the jimping, knurled jimping. You got pretty sure it's probably an aluminum backspacer right there with the integrated lanyard hole. I think aesthetically it's pretty good looking. The pivots just kind of simple polished hardware. One of the guys at CRKT's booth was saying that Lucas Burnley, his designs always borrow a lot from nature. So he was saying that it's like a natural, it's like his interpretation of like what an actual squid shape is. I know earlier I mentioned the knurling on the button lock, but the area around the button lock itself is just regular smooth flush. There's no kind of like indentation or anything for the button lock. So the button lock itself, it sticks pretty proud when the lock is engaged. The rest of the time, it's not quite flush with the scale. But it does stick out a little bit. Enough that you can push down on it and flick it. Because the way the ball bearings are, it does feel real smooth. And it's got this cut out right there for the lock bar when it slides back. I think the engagement sound is partly because of... Sorry, touched the camera boom there for a second. The engagement sound is partly because the way that cutout, I think, is on there for the knife. And I do, on the blade, I do think that this, for a button lock, actually has a really good engagement sound. That a little bit higher so I don't get the table. Yeah, I think that's pretty satisfying as far as sounds go. And I mean, I feel like button locks typically don't have as good an engagement sound. See, like that's okay, but it's not as quite as good as... It's just a little bit louder and has a little bit more of a metal on metal sound. It's got that ting. It hits with that ting. So I think as far as button locks go, I feel like this is a good sounding engagement. If that's something that's important to you, I feel like you're opening and closing these things a lot sometimes because you're fidgeting with them. And so I feel like the engagement sound is kind of like an important part of that fidget experience. It's probably something that, is only important for a couple of people. Like only a couple of people are like, yeah, I like that sound. But if it's something that is, an important aspect to your fidget experience, then I feel like you're definitely going to go towards a knife that sounds like it is a little bit better engagement. We're going to go ahead and do size comparison real quick. We're going to start off with our smaller knives that we have. The CRK Drifter and the James Brand Redstone. Sorry. The James Brand Redstone is probably the smallest knife I own, but it's also currently the most expensive knife I own at $100. All of these knives I'm going to be showing you, by the way, are $100 or less. It's a little bit more cutting surface than the CRKT, but it is, as you can tell by the handle, quite a bit bigger handle-wise than the CRKT Drifter. I think at one point there I said CRKT. What was I going to do for medium? Oh, yeah. The Civivi Elementum Button Lock 2, which we had out earlier, and I'm going to go ahead and use the Kaiser Seagull 2 as another medium. It looks like we're pretty close blade length, same. It's got a little bit more. It's got a little bit more on the Civivi. And it's got quite a bit more on the Seagull. Obviously, the blade shape is a lot different than any of those knives. We're going to go ahead and put it against our two large fellows right here. We've got the Spyderco Tenacious. Lot of more cutting surface right there than the Squid. And then above right here we have the Harbor Freight D2, I can't remember what else they're calling it. They can't be bothered to come up with a name, even though they copied another knife. So it's a clone, not a counterfeit, but a clone. I think it's got a little bit extra cutting surface there to work with compared to the Harbor Freight knife. Pocket clip's real basic. Maybe a little bit too much tension. Just a hair bit too much, I think. It does look like it's stone polished too. So, I mean, aesthetically it pairs really well with the knife itself, the blade itself, and with the backspacer. You know, it's a good looking piece of hardware. I'm gonna put it back out there so you guys can enjoy the view. What was it price-wise right now? Price-wise, you're looking at $73. So a little bit more right now compared to the Kaiser Seagull. Both of them micarta knives. The Seagull has front flipper, back flipper deployment holes. The Squid's just got the thumb studs. The thumb studs, I didn't mention earlier. We didn't talk about the thumb studs. They are domed. They are well placed, I feel like. There's plenty of room right there with the cutout for the finger groove to get at them easily. They're large thumb studs. They're hard to miss, and you're not going to like irritate your finger or anything on them. Compared to a couple other thumb stud knives, we've got the Ozark Trail Pug Out. It's actually called the Sonder, but I like to call it the Pug Out because it's copying the Bug Out. And we'll use our Drifter. If you look, these guys are way fatter around. They don't protrude out quite as much. And they are quite a bit domed. These are kind of just blunt. They kind of pop up a little bit. And then these guys, they have a lot of stepping, but they also have that small patch right there. I feel like between the thumb stud knives I do have right now. Hey, we did that wrong. What do you know? We're talking about the squid. I feel like the thumb studs knives that I have right now currently, that is the better thumb stud of um, the thumb stud knives I have. It's good. It's great. That's what I'm saying. um, a lot of people would probably go for this over the Seagull because of the button lock versus liner lock. I think they're both great. I think that engagement sound on the liner lock is better. And I think that's what a lot of people are like not looking at when they're looking at liner lock knives. They see the liner lock knives and they're like, "Oh, liner locks have been around forever. Every knife is a liner lock just about." But liner locks have been around forever because they work so well. They're secure. They don't really disengage as often. The button locks are a little bit newer. Depending on the manufacturer, there might be some issues with button locks. I feel like CRKT's got it down pretty good with the squid right here. But if that engagement sound is your bag of tea, then I feel like the Seagull. Sorry, that's what happens when you name all your knives after birds. The Seagull's got the squid beat by a little bit. Button lock versus liner lock, though. I mean, liner lock knives can sound really, really good engagement wise. Also, the fact that you have front flipper, back flipper, and the cutout hole. So many different ways to open it. It's really, really fidget friendly. This is pretty fidget friendly because you got a couple of different ways to open it with the thumb studs, you know. It does stick sometimes. And that's not the knife's fault, that's my fault. They're not, you know, I'm not always right on the thing. There we go. A little bit of practice and it's fine. I feel like the action's real smooth on it though. I mean, it's ball bearings. So this should be fairly smooth. Profile wise, they are fairly close, and packaging and in thickness, they are both fairly close. I do feel like this is a bit lighter though. That's one thing that kind of surprised me about the Seagulls, how light it was. I feel like either way, depending on what you choose, like what's important to you, they're both great knives. I think the pocket clip's probably a little bit better on the Seagull. T8 screws all around. So, I mean, they're both right around the same price range. I think they're both really good aesthetically, mechanically. They both cut really good. That one's a different steel, but it's basically equivalent to D2. So, like, they are really, really close to each other. And so, I mean, I think they're both great. The squid, like I said, it got a lot of views when I put that short video up. So, I feel like aesthetically a lot of people like it. We're going to wrap this up real quick, though, because we're pushing close to 20 minutes. There will be a pinned comment down on the bottom. It's going to have the link to the Patreon account for Lads Product Reviews, along with the Instagram account for Lads Product Reviews. We also got affiliate links for King's Camo Outdoor Gear, Priority Tires, Crossman Air Rifles, Raven Crossbows, Try the World International Food Subscription, W Energy Drinks. If you use that link, you should get a 10% discount off your order. It should automatically put in the code lads_feel2025 on checkout. If it doesn't, go ahead and use the code lads_2025. That'll give you 10% discount. Traversin Outdoor Supplies, Piscafun Fishing Supplies, Zeal Pet Food, and Tideweed Duck Hunting Supplies. If you're looking to shop for anything that remotely relates to any of those companies that I just listed, we'll get a little bit of the channel will get a little bit of a kickback if you use those links. So, I mean, if you're in the market for pet food or anything like that, go ahead, check them out. It would really help the channel. Also, liking and subscribing totally helps the channel. And if you're one of our affiliates and you're watching this video, and you want to get in contact with us for possibly sending us out product to unbox and review, we'd be totally open to that. We have our contact email in the YouTube description down below. I'm just gonna real quickly thank everyone that has liked and subscribed, commented on the videos, and kind of supported the channel in one way or another as we've been going. Totally means the world to me that you guys are watching the videos and interacting with them and whatnot. Really freaking cool. Love you guys. We're gonna try to keep putting out content. But yeah, have an awesome weekend. We'll talk to you later. Although this video is probably not coming out until after the weekend. But have an awesome week, All right.